Today, I might buy a piece of wild, remote mountain in the Pyrenees, in southwest Europe, or I might not. It all depends on what I find up there. I have seen and visited many mountain plots for sale, a lot of them, especially in my local area. But this one is incredibly remote, and getting to it is almost impossible. Yesterday we tried to reach the land by the southern ridge. No path, just rocks, fallen trees on the ground, massive slopes, and wonderful views. If you watched the previous video, you know we ran out of time. To stay safe, we had to turn back. Why does this land seem so cheap? What is my strategy for living in the wild? Why do I want to buy a plot here, so far from my usual area? I'm going to explain everything to you. It's a beautiful place. Now let us start from the northern slope, but from the very bottom, from the river. The seller told me there was a barely visible path starting down here, from the village, before disappearing into the woods and rocks. He also mentioned that it was a much steeper hike than yesterday's. But this time we have more time to get there, our only advantage. So, here we are, at the bottom of the valley, ready to climb straight up towards the ridge, highly motivated. The streams are rushing, filled with meltwater from the high peaks. It's a paradise for kayakers, but maybe not so much for us, as a massive climb awaits. Again, as I mentioned in the previous video, they put tarpaulins on this hut to protect the roof. Personally, I prefer my aluminium sheets. They seem much more durable to me. What do you think? A group of French people is here for kayaking. We cross paths with them to reach the start of the trail. But the path is so hidden, they had not even seen it. The path starts, how can I say it? Very wild. You can tell that very few people come through here, and certainly no hikers. My impression is that the climb is going to be difficult. This is not a main hiking trail. Definitely not. It barely showed on the maps. I have a feeling that very soon we will be in the deepest wilderness. I like it. With the humidity from the river and the beautiful spring heat, right now it feels like we are in the Thai jungle during the rainy season. The vegetation is incredibly dense, but further up, little by little, the forest opens up. Since the climb is going to be intense and hard, I need a walking stick, but I forgot mine, as I mentioned yesterday in the previous video. I have to make new one, but there are no hazel trees here, which is the wood usually used in my valley. So I will use boxwood, even if it's heavier. And even though we are not at the beginning of autumn with the waning moon, it's better than nothing. I cut it the ran plan, as we say in the local language here. That means straight from the root, keeping the thickest part at the bottom, just as Pyrenean tradition dictates for walking sticks. I was taught that rule when I was young. One day, walking along to reach a peak between Gascony and Aragon, I met a shepherd at his cabin. I was holding my wooden sticks like modern hikers do, with the thinnest part at the bottom. The shepherd looked at my sticks, laughed at me, and then said, "Never show up to a shepherd with your sticks like that, upside down." His comment really surprised me. He explained why the heavier side is better at the bottom, better balance when you walk, more strength to guide the livestock it needed, and above all, the most important thing for me, better resistant to twisting if the stick gets stuck between the rocks. Later, I was able to prove he was right, and all the shepherds, hunters, and local people carry their sticks that way. We pass several abandoned stone barns. I hope that one day some crazy person like me will come to save this barn, just like I do with my remote, forgotten houses.
Mírame eso. Muy bonito, ¿eh? Qué lástima que sea abandonada. Mira. Yo creo que se puede salvar.
I hope so, but I am not entirely sure, seeing how so many barns are slowly collapsing around here. I suppose you could buy that one for next to nothing, but anyway. There is still a path, but it's becoming more and more hidden. I hope it takes us as high as possible. I would hate to fail to read the land again because of a lack of time.
I think that someone slept here. It's a beautiful place. Ahora parece que estamos de nuevo en la nada. Pero aquí hay una borda, otra borda. Y regresamos a la cresta. Quizá habrá el camino aquí. Mira aquí. ¿No estamos bien? ¿A que sí?
Now it's clear. There is no path anymore. We are back in the middle of nowhere, following the ridge, always climbing. But we are still far from the spot, and I hope the terrain does not become too difficult. I hope so, but in front of us are giant rocks. It's impossible to cross there. We have to choose. Do we go right or left? Left looks better. Let us go. Especially since you can sense a tiny path. But this path is taking us too low. We have to climb straight back up to the ridge. And now comes the tricky part. The scrubber finally brings up to a part of the ridge that is much gentler. We are now in a beautiful beech forest, but the slope is still incredibly steep. My box wood stick is helping me immensely. I use it in the traditional way, like a third foot, very useful for stability. I have reached the piece of mountain that is for sale. The area is very steep, but there are parts like this where the ground is a bit flatter. The place is very pleasant. Further up is the peak. The land goes almost all the way to it, and beyond that there is a ravine. I need to check something very important. In fact, I would like to buy a plot of land far from my houses to set up a small mountain cabin. I am looking for another place to retreat, to disconnect from society for a few days. A base camp. I really like decentralized systems. They seem more resilient and adaptable to me, very useful when changes are fast and deep. That's why I came here, to have another place, to have the house in one remote spot and the cabin in another. That would be the start of decentralizing my living spaces. It is true that the land is cheap. At first, it was for sale for £1,300, about $1,700, and I kept talking with the seller, who lowered the price to £900, about $1,100. He told me his father had bought it only to get the right to hunt in the area.
Aquí es muy tranquilo, muy agradable. Inaccesible, pero agradable. Y otra cosa, miradme la vista. Mirad eso. Miradme eso. Qué bonito, ¿no? La verdad. Well, unfortunately, there's no water here.
In the ravine, in the end, there's no water. There's another ravine further away, where the map shows a spring. But it requires a very long hike because the vegetation is dense and the slope is extreme. We would need more time. I'm hesitating. I am Latin, Roman, and I view property according to classic law. Because of that, I see ownership through three elements. Usus, the right to use the land. Fructus, the right to profit from it, exploit it, sell its trees. And Abusus, the right to build, sell, transform. The seller's father was only looking for a very specific fructus, the right to hunt, nothing more. If I buy it, what would my real usus be? Getting here is very complicated, but anyway, it can be done. The biggest problem is the lack of water. Without water, we cannot live. My real fructus? Testing my hunting skills here does not interest me. Exploiting the trees? Impossible. I would have the abusus on paper, but for what? Without access, and according to the law, it's probably completely forbidden to build anything here. This piece of mountain is impractical for what I am looking for. The only thing left for me would be to pitch a tent from time to time, but to camp, you do not need to own the land. You can do it in many free places. And without water here, there are better places than this. At the time of publishing this video, I'm still hesitating. At that price, it's tempting. And there is the pleasure of owning a piece of mountain. But for that money, I could also buy better solar equipment for my lost houses in the mountain range. I think I'm going to decline the offer. Though, on the other hand, it is an exceptional and rare property. And the price might drop even lower, down to £700, about $900, perhaps. Please, I would love to know your opinion in the comments. Based on what you tell me, I will come back to try and locate the water in the other ravine further away. And given the distance and the wide terrain, I would go into full expedition mode. And if I find water, my opinion might change. Thank you very much, and we will return very soon to my remote shelters, the one that also have no access but do have water and a future.